Well, good morning. I guess we'll wait and see on short notice if anybody actually shows up. So much to actually cover. Um, we'll give it a couple of more minutes. We've got some interesting emails, obviously, our budget, and a few other things we can go over. So, good morning. It is 9 o'clock Saturday morning here in Angeles City. Be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, and I think 6 p.m. I see we already have at least one person in the room. So today's kind of like a generalized session. If you've seen the budget video, certainly feel free to comment or ask questions about that. If you've seen any of our other videos, feel free to comment or ask questions about that. Or if you have something totally different to talk about, well, that'd be great as well. Robert, good morning, the old Cano. Hey, things are going well, I hope, for you. Ricky, nice to see you again. Oh, people are actually coming in. Moon River. We're being so lucky we're graced by your presence. Dardos Journey is here as well. Alton Cooper from Fort Worth. Wow, I haven't been to Fort Worth in 30, 40 years. Good morning, Alton. I'm assuming that's Dallas, Fort Worth area. The home of one of my most favorite restaurants in the U.S., Pappasitas. The Pappas family actually started out in the Dallas area years and years ago. For a short period of time when I was in the Houston area, we used to go there quite often. It hasn't changed. I don't know. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been to Dallas in probably 40 years. One of my best friends, one of my mentors, was actually from Dallas, Fort Worth. Oh yeah, Robert, the old Cano, actually is from the Dallas area as well for a period of time. Good morning, Gary. How are you? It's nice of you to join us. So I was going over my kind of like little ideas as to what to talk about and what we would go over. And I thought it'd be interesting if anybody had seen our budget video yet to get an idea of just how fast flashy bloggers can go broke or how much they can spend. Retirement is not all about what you see on YouTube. Secondarily to that, we'll be happy to go through those expenses. And in addition to all of that, any questions or comments that you might have, we're happy to answer those. Or we can discuss anything that wanders into your mind, with a few exceptions, obviously. We try and stay reasonably drama-free, but not all the time. Gary said we had a killer month. Yeah, we did. We had a great month, actually. Um, and I think that goes to show people that if you plan your retirement, you can do that. Um, my daughter had a great time, and that's what it's all about. Um, I think it's very important. I think raising children is very important. I know Robert the old Cano is facing some growing pains with his child down there. But with that being said, um, those are just the fact of children grow and they have to uh, learn. My daughter's past that stage. Um, she pretty much runs her life, although she keeps me well informed of it. Um, but most of her decisions are on her own now. Although I'm sure um, I know that she talks to her mom about it as well. But as long as she's still in school, that's all I'm grateful for. Uh, in any event, yeah, our budget really and truly is about 1,700 a month. Is about what we've um, uh, normally spend. However, when you add in everything that goes along with that, then it changes. Alton says he's seen a lot of guys giving budgets. Seems like the baseline of everybody is around 1,800 a month. I think that that's not an unreasonable statement, Alton. I think it depends on where you live, how you live. We maintain two households, two sets of vehicles. Um, we don't talk about it, but our charitable situations in the province play a part, obviously. But I think that you could do it depending on how you want to live. I think the days of those people putting out $1,000 a month budgets, they're not gone, but their standard of living may not be what most people call optimal. I've seen a lot of people on $1,300 budgets, but choose to live in a cheaper area, or also that choose to live in a more expensive area, and their accommodations then get altered. I think one of the things that people should do maybe is when you watch these videos, go back and look at all of their videos, or at least a number of their videos, and look at the physical space that they live in. In other words, are the walls peeling paint? Do they have doors that actually fit the the door openings? Are they, do they have an air conditioner sitting in a hole and it's not even sealed up? Dari says budgets depend on fixed and lifestyle. Absolutely. And with the variable being lifestyle, do you like to party, eat high-end American foods, run the aircon 24/7? Yes, all of those are factors. And they're all individually selected. In other words, there are some places, some people who prefer to be conservative in their expenses. So it just depends, I guess. Keep in mind, guys, we own our home and all our toys. We are totally debt free. Yes, Robert does, and he has a beautiful home. Beautiful home. And we're the same way. We own all of ours, and we own all of our vehicles and all of our. We make no payments on anything other than whatever we charged on our credit card that month. It's kind of like, where we choose. Like, for instance, people say, well, why did you decide to live in Angeles? Well, we could certainly live somewhere cheaper. We could certainly live in the province. We could certainly live somewhere else. Um, but with that being said, we enjoy life. So we have 4 or 5 major casinos in the Angeles area, and they always have live shows. They always have entertaining shows. They always have show club shows, music, live music. There are a lot of restaurants and bars here that offer live music and everything. I mean, it's all about what you want to do to stay busy and the things that you want to do. I wish we could find Angeles by the ocean. That would be the most preferable situation. But when you put together healthcare, an international airport, and all of everything that goes along with it, I don't think any place really exists like that. Oh, hit the wrong button. Alton says our land is in the province of Mindanao. Alton, where in Mindanao? That's where we have a home in Mindanao also. The time I've spent there pre-pandemic shows I could live a similar lifestyle as now for that Social Security check amount, given my Texas home sells for enough for me. Yeah, I mean, in the province, when we go to our province home, um, when we go to our province home, yeah, it's radically cheaper. I mean, in the village that we live in, it's a population of about 7,000 where our home is, and there is no restaurants. There are no American fare type restaurants, and there are no even wannabe American fare type restaurants. There are no burger joints. There are no McDonald's, no Burger King. There's no Jollibee even where we our home is in the province. There's no Domino's. There's no pizza in anything like that. We're either getting food that we cook ourselves, or if we're going out, it's going to be chicken manuk or barbecue on a stick or seafood. And even that's really kind of limited because it's by one of the largest lakes in the Philippines. More often than not, it's freshwater fish. Robert says Pattaya, and yeah, he is correct. If you wanted to, Pattaya is one of those situations. Although I actually watched a video this morning of a 32 square meter condo, new build, an hour and a half by bus from Bangkok, central Bangkok. Sior, I think was the name of it, or something like that. And it was 26,000 US. I think the real estate market in Thailand has taken a beating. Alton says he's about 40 clicks northeast of CDO. We're up north of that. We're about 40 miles south of Surigao City, or we're about an hour and 15 minutes from Butuan. We're halfway between there. Dari says 15 people watching, 5 likes. Thank you, Dari. Thank you so much. Dano and Pine are here from Girona, Tarlac. How you guys doing, Dano? I hope you guys are having a great day. That's for sure. Actually, we hope everybody's having a great day. It is an absolutely beautiful morning here in Angeles. Slightly cloudy, not hardly any humidity this morning, or far less than usual. Temperatures in the high 80s right now. It's just gorgeous. I will tell you, it was actually very warm when we were in Bohol. We were having days in the high 90s every day in Bohol. It got kind of warm. This was a little bit more temperate. BT and Betty are here. Nice to see you, BT. Hope you guys are doing well. Dari says it's the same in Duma, weather-wise. I got to tell you, it's like this little break today in summer. Although I think this afternoon it's going to be much warmer. We'll see. James asks, how was our vacation? Hope you enjoyed it. You bet. We had a blast. It's sad to say that for so many years that I've been here, and for all of the years prior to moving here that we visited, I never went to Bohol. I never realized how beautiful Bohol is. And I think it was because I was never happy in Cebu. We went to Cebu. I've been to Cebu a couple times and never really thought that much of it. And I don't know. I take that back. We've been to Bohol before, but we were north of where we stayed in Panglao. And it was a very brief trip, and literally we were pretty much restricted right there to the resort. So we never got around Bohol. But this past trip, we went all over Bohol. We traveled a lot. We had a private car and a driver for 2 days that took us everywhere that he wanted to take us and that we wanted to go. And it was great. We had a great time. And I just didn't realize, but Bohol is beautiful everywhere. Every beach that we saw was beautiful. All the attractions were beautiful. I was very impressed with the roads in Bohol. I certainly would put it on your bucket list if you've never been there, especially Panglao. And of course, we did stay at a rather expensive hotel, the Henan Resort. Expensive for the Philippines anyways, but it was great also. So, but I think it goes to show you that it's not hard to spend money here, okay? I mean, we don't usually have a problem spending money. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can. You can hear that. For the past about 10 days, I don't know who it is. It's probably, since I haven't heard anything about the Americans, I'm pretty sure the Philippine Air Force is doing a lot of jet exercises. And I think actually it's the Philippines are currently doing an exercise with either the Japanese or the Australians right now. But there's been a lot of military jets flying across lately. So I think that's about the third or fourth time I've heard him this morning. Dino says he's going to pick up my SRV for his permanent resident. Yay, Dino, congratulations. Great. And he's going there to Angeles on the 4th to receive it. Dino, I will, on the 4th of July, we'll certainly be there. If you guys are up here, let us know. Even if you're here by yourself, let me know. We'll be happy to meet you somewhere, share a coffee, a meal, a beer, whatever. James says, yes, it's nice. I've been there 3 times by Quran next to it. It's great too. We did do El Nido. We haven't done Quran. So Quran's on, I think, next year's list for my daughter. Sharky, thank you for dropping in. So nice to see you. I really appreciate it. So let's see here. So where was I? So that's kind of where we are with respect to our budget. And if you have any questions, let us know, or the expenses that we had. With respect to things that are going on and what our further plans are, I'm going to be here all month. Arlyn is going to be leaving, I think, around the 17th or 18th down to the province for her dad's birthday. I'm not going because, quite frankly, because we're returning together to the province on the 20-something of August for Fiesta. And I just didn't see a great amount of need for me to go to the province and then fly home and then turn around and fly back down 15, 20 days later. Oh, Sharky, anytime. You're more than welcome. Thank you for coming. Dono says, we'll be at SM Mall eating lunch at noon. Okay. Remind me, shoot me an email and remind me, and we'll meet you guys at SM for sure. I mean, it's really right down the street from where we live. Alton Cooper says, we did Carlos de Garcia Island off Bohol. The resort was falling apart, but the snorkeling was great. Alton, I've never even heard of Carlos de Garcia Island, but there's 7,000 islands in the Philippines. I'm sorry that the resort wasn't so great. I'm sure the water activities were beautiful. The water that we saw, all the water we saw in Bohol was just crystal clear, and we had great weather. The water was flat every day. Absolutely flat, except the last day, towards the end of the day, it was a little bit choppy. And I think that's just because of a weather temperature inversion that was moving in, because it did rain, or it was on the verge of raining the next day as our flight left. So there was definitely some weather coming in. But it's great. Absolutely. So what else is on your minds, folks? What have you got questions about? I'm running out of different topics that other bloggers haven't covered. I may have to resort to going after topics that other people cover already that aren't within the drama view, chasing views and chasing clicks type of stuff. That's something that we just don't really do. We don't really do that. James asked if we've been to Bantayan Island in northern Cebu. No, we have not. We went to Cebu and we did 2 days there just because it was changing flights. We were leaving Bohol. We took the ferry from Bohol to Cebu, stayed there for 2 days, and then caught a flight to El Nido, or actually Puerto Princesa, and then from there we went to El Nido one time. And then one time I went to Cebu years ago, and really was a very poor tourist. And when I say poor, I mean I just really didn't do anything good and touristy. So that's the honest truth. Some days, you feel like getting out and about. Some days you're just too busy. Back in my younger years when I traveled, I was always traveling and working at the same time. I was never able to really vacation 100% and write it off. And if I remember correctly, that particular trip I had issues going on, and I was pretty much on email continuously the whole time I was there. But anyways, getting back to what were we saying here? Matthew, good morning, Matthew. Do you think the Philippines mindset will ever change on garbage on the streets and pollution? Well, sure it will. Absolutely, Matthew. Maybe not in your lifetime or mine. Okay? I can tell you that where we live, up and down the street, and our street is two very wide paved lanes with bike lanes on both sides. And I'd say it's 3/4 of a mile from one end of that street to the main boulevard, all right, which is going to be Fields Avenue. That street stays perfectly clean. In fact, well, I won't say perfectly clean, but it stays very clean. People here sweep and clean, but part of the problem, Matthew, is going to be to have services to what do you do with that trash? Okay? In other words, the city, or actually the barangay, is who controls the trash pickup alongside the street. They only pick up trash twice a week. And so when people collect trash from cleaning the street, what do they do with it? Then where's it go? I mean, I got to be honest also, Matthew. I don't know where you're from, but if you haven't seen videos of downtown Detroit lately, or Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, there was a show that I don't watch it very often, but there's a show, I forget what it's called, Brooklyn 911 or something like that. It's a comedy. And in one of the shows, the guy holds up two photographs to one of the guys and says, because he's complaining about the guy's locker, and he says, these two pictures, one of them is the inside of your locker, and the other is a garbage dump in the Philippines. Well, that's the way it is here. Okay? It turned out they were both pictures of the inside of the guy's locker. But what I'm getting at with all of that is we need to get away from disposable plastics. We've become a society of, our society is not built on using, or doesn't function on reusability. I mean, we have specific Tupperware and both plastic and glass to hold leftovers. We don't use plastic and paper products that we can help. And with that being said, we keep our trash down to a minimum. And people have to do that. But when you live day to day, like Filipinos do, they get their food in disposable plastic and cardboard, paper products. And that ends up all over the place. And then finally, you know what? We have to do nothing but point at ourselves. Most of the people that I see litter are tourists. And I'll be honest with you, most of the tourists that I see litter, and I'm going to say it, they're Koreans. Now, maybe that's because there are so many Koreans here, but Koreans love to flip their cigarettes on the ground, and they love to just throw stuff. I saw a guy the other day cleaning out his car. He had a rental car, and he was cleaning out his car and just dumping the trash on the ground beside his car. So, you know, a lot of that we have our own selves to point at. And I've seen plenty of trash and everything that goes along with that garbage on the streets in the U.S. I mean, you know, down by the airport, LAX, that's a horror story, you know. So it is what it is. Pollution, whole different story. Pollution is because the government does not enforce the emissions and everything that goes along with it on all of these jeepneys and trikes. They just belch diesel and gas fumes. Alton says drugs get the death penalty, but they still do shabu. They couldn't care less about trashing their home. Well, you know, Alton, I guess some people do feel that way. I mean, you know, we have Filipino friends that live in $1 million US dollar homes. They care about it, but in general, it's difficult. And you're correct. I think the garbage problem is the government. There's just no service, as I was saying. And James, you're absolutely correct. Bookham Dano says he sent me an email. All righty, Dano, I will put it in my calendar and I will certainly reply. That's for sure. So, you know, I do, and I will tell you this also. You know something? In Bohol, I didn't see hardly any trash on the streets. And once you got out of the city of Panglao, we didn't see hardly any trash at all. So it's a factor of how concentrated with the population density is, I would assume. But you got to have somebody to pick up the trash. I think that I think the government is going to come around and make changes. It's just going to take time. And, you know, they've got a lot to do. Alton says, saw a guy using a trash can as a table for his lunch. When he was done, he tossed his wrappers in the sea. Trash can evidently was invisible. Yes, Alton, we've seen stuff like that. We've been on boats where people peel back that little burger wrapper and trash it right overboard. Education geared towards the next younger generations will change things more into the future when it comes to pollution, says Dari. I think so. I hope so. You know, I would hope that the Philippines does not become a trashed situation. Matthew says, I'd like to see functional sidewalks in the Philippines and everywhere. You nailed it on the trash. You need trash cans and people emptying it. No trash in Virginia Beach like dog feces. We pick it up. You know, Matthew, it's kind of funny. I've actually lived in Virginia Beach for a while. My very, very short stint in the Navy, I was stationed in Dam Neck. Oh, God, 45 years ago. It seems like 40 years ago. But functional sidewalks, yes. And I'm going to tell you that's a big problem. So I don't collect disability. I could easily qualify for 100% disability. I've been an insulin dependent diabetic all my life. And no matter how rigorous you are, you end up with peripheral vascular disease. My peripheral vascular disease means, aside from other things, the most obvious one is from about mid calf down in both of my legs, I have very little feeling. And then once you get into my feet, I have no feeling, which is why I don't drive. I can't feel the pressure of the gas pedal or the brake. Now, I never applied for disability, and I've never intend to, only because I don't need it financially. And with that being said, though, the point I'm trying to make is the sidewalks that Matthew talks about. Here in Angeles City, if you are disabled, if you have any problems, like I have to stay in balance. And if the sidewalks dip every 3 feet, or there's a 4-inch rise, or there's no sidewalk at all because somebody busted it out of the way to make, room for whatever, or they put in a driveway to their property and they raised that sidewalk, it makes it very, very difficult, which I think also is evident by, if you watch videos of people walking in the streets. They walk in the streets because they're flat. And if you're in a wheelchair, this is probably one of the most difficult places to get around. I certainly hope that I die before I'm stuck in a wheelchair here. I really did. Infrastructure is a big deal. Dari says many places lack infrastructure when it comes to trash pickup, recyclable, disposable. Yeah, they do. And it's everywhere in the world. I mean, quite literally everywhere. Now, there are exceptions. Don't get me wrong. I found in the cities in Bangkok and Thailand and in Pattaya and Phuket, trash pickup was great and very clean. And they had crews out there, they're employed by the city or wherever. Japan is great. Taiwan is very, very good. But when you go to places like Vietnam, India, or Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., been down on 14th Street in Washington, D.C., or how about Back Harbor in Boston, okay? Or on the side streets over by 42nd Street in New York. The LAX airport area. It's everywhere. It's not just the Philippines. And it's because we don't teach people, and it's because we don't penalize them enough to clean up. Dano says, Mike, you're looking good. I knew you would. LOL. Well, thank you. Dari says, some areas you'll see a whole neighborhood out in the morning sweeping, picking up their whole street. They take pride in their neighborhood. They do, Dari. We do see that. We see the barangay literally has a group of people that sweep this entire street every Sunday. And then all up and down the street, you see people cleaning up and around and in front of their stores and residences. BT says, same with police and traffic enforcers. Not enough of them, not enough money to pay them, so it's tough too. Yeah, BT, it is. It really and truly is. And what kills me with that is that, in the Philippines, you have to have a helmet to ride on a scooter, and you have to have closed-toed shoes. You're not allowed to actually, it's against the law to wear flip-flops or sandals, open-toed shoes. And we constantly have traffic enforcers directing traffic and everything up and down Fields Avenue every morning and sometimes in the afternoons. Yet we will see a 3 or 4-year-old kid on his dad's lap in the first position on a motorcycle with a 5 or 6-year-old kid or even younger on his back with mom next. So you've got 4 on a scooter, which is not unusual for those of you that have been around, and none of them wearing helmets. Alton says, I think Phils have more freedom than there is in the U.S. to state a positive thing for once. I don't know whether I would say that. I don't know which freedoms you're really talking about. There's a lot of stuff that you see here, Alton, that we assume is freedom, but it's just because it's not enforced. Alton says, here in Fort Worth, you can't fart loud without somebody calling the cops. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately coming from all over the U.S. about people raging on other people for the littlest things. I just try and avoid them. Dano says, sorry for the caps. Not a problem. Sharky says, I love watching you two drive around AC. It always makes me laugh. I'll tell you, I don't know if you're laughing because of how Arlyn and I talk while she drives, which sometimes can be a little scary. I mean, you would think, because Arlyn is like the most non-controversial, non-confrontational person you will ever meet. But man, if she gets pissed off in traffic, all right, she's like, you know what? I'm moving over into that right lane and you better make room for me. Or that jeepney's coming over and Arlyn's like, nope, not going to let him cut here. Not going to do it. It gets funny. Now, what is really funny about Arlyn, too, is Arlyn wants to park as close to whatever the entrance of wherever we're going is. And I'm like, honey, just go another 100 feet down the parking lot, and it's so much simpler to pull into a parking space. There's nobody around you. But that's just the way it is. And I don't know why she's like that, because I taught Arlyn to drive in the U.S., okay? So why she drives like that here, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, she does heavy traffic in Manila and here just fine, but she gets quite aggressive in road courtesy when it comes to people cutting her off. It gets funny like that. And then sometimes I just like to give her a ration of shit because it's funny. Timothy Gilmore, good testimony about the garbage issue. Well, thank you, Timothy. Thank you very much. Matthew says, Alton Cooper, come to Virginia Beach and fart all you want, but not around me. There you go. There you go. Dari says, Dolomite Beach in Manila, they have trash patrol people out there every morning, cleaning the beach in a very meticulous manner, particularly combing the beach, looking for smallest pieces of debris. Yes, Dari, we haven't been there yet, but we will. And I've heard the same thing. Sharky says, yeah, how you two talk is what I mean. Well, it's never disrespectful, Sharky, but I love to give her a ration of shit about her driving. But she gives me a ration too. So our condo has underground parking, and I'm I was coming out. I was driving. This was a couple years ago. I was leaving, and it's much easier to get in there than out. And as you come out, you have to turn. It's a curve on a big slant, and the opening isn't super, super wide. And I tagged the wall, and she reminds me constantly that I tagged that wall. She goes, she'll remind me constantly, who hit the car? Who hit the wall? And because she's never hit anything yet. Focus on Asia, JR, another great channel, folks. The Old Cano and Focus on Asia, you guys should give them both a shot. Sharky's laughing. Do enjoy the little tours. Would kind of like to see what the boonies look like around there. Cities don't hold my interest. The boonies around where, Alton? Around Angeles City? BT can tell you a lot about that. BT lives out by Mount Arlyn, so he can tell you that area. I think next time when we head down to you know what? I shouldn't say that. It's so convenient to get to Subic on the expressway now that you never take the back road. And because you don't take the back road, or because you do take the expressway, you never go through all those small surrounding areas. But I have been thinking lately that Arlyn and I might do a weekend down in Subic and give you guys an idea of what it's like when we go down there. JR knows Subic super well. Focus on Asia. Then there's somebody that knows Subic inside out. And he's got a lot of good stuff on places in Subic that he's been to. For sure, I get it. Yeah, how she parks that truck is amazing. Yeah, you know what, Sharky? I don't understand that either. In the U.S., everywhere that we lived and everywhere that Arlyn lived, she was able, always pull into the parking space. And here in the Philippines, she all of a sudden decided she's going to back into every parking space. And I don't know how she got that habit. I think it's because that's the way Filipinos do it here. And so she felt that was normal. But yeah, she can back that damn SUV in far better than I can. Jesus, I get that all the time from my wife when I tag the truck. I no longer drive a large vehicle in the Philippines. She does. Yeah, Robert, the old canoe. I don't get it all the time, but if I start telling her she needs to be more conscious of how fast she's going or how close she's following or whatever, and she's the one like, who's driving? You want to drive? What are you going to hit? She does. Timothy wants to know, how does Candy compare with similar condos in rent? Well, I think, Timothy, that there really aren't a lot of options similar to Candy here in town, but there are a few, and they are very comparable en route. So like one Euphoria, you're going to pay actually a little bit more in rent. But my suggestion is that you look around, because when you find rentals by individuals instead of going through Airbnb or through a management company that's local, you will find better deals. I had a sheet of paper. You know what? I get this question all the time, Timothy. I am so sorry. If you will shoot me an email, I will shoot you back a copy of the most recent rental sheet from the front desk. So if you send me an email, I'll send you one back. And that'll be give you an idea as to what Candy is renting them for. And they're going to be they're going to be more expensive. BT says, got a lot of videos out there. National Park, Treehouse, Jingtung, Pak. There you go. There's some spots you can find. Get some ideas. They do mama backs in everywhere. I don't know, Robert. I don't understand it. And quite frankly, now I feel embarrassed if I do drive once in a while, not often at all. Okay. But definitely not if it's in traffic. And I always pull into a parking space, but now I feel stupid pulling into a parking space rather than backing into it. I don't understand why. JR says road trip soon. Going to be headed on the road through Cagayan Valley up to the most northern part of Luzon, Santa Ana, and oh, I bet that's going to be outrageous. That's the next big trip I want to plan. I want to plan a circle up one side of Luzon and down the other. But I've got to learn more about places to stay and things to look at while we do that. Can't wait for that video. Never been that far north. Yeah, that's going to be great. Timothy says, will do. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, send me an email and I'll get you a copy of the most recent rental sheet. Bookham says, there's a house for sale here for 3 million pesos, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, large land, 62,000 US dollars. Yeah. You can find great deals, and some of them are great and some of them are not. I mean, the problem we ran into was where we built our house was simply the fact that they all knew that titled land was an exception to the rule in that area. Very little titled land. Almost all the land out there is generational or squattered, and there's no title. So when we bought land, we insisted that we only buy titled land, and we paid through the nose for titled land. And that's having Arlyn do the shopping. I didn't even show my face. All right. Arlyn was looking at land through people that we were pretty sure didn't even know she was married to a foreigner, and it was still expensive. Really, titled land was just expensive. Let's see here. JR says, Focus on Asia says, what's up? Have been before, have video on it, but never the other side of Santa Ana and never through Cagayan. Yeah, I'm going to be interested in seeing that, JR. So Robert says, in case you guys are interested, condos in Naga City, Camarana, sir, purchased for $140,000, rent $550 to $650. So, all right. So, Robert, have you ever compared that to because I don't know, I don't remember exactly where Naga City is, but in comparison to some place like Dumaguete, where they're saying they're now paying, $350, $400 a month, whatever. Or Iloilo, that would be interesting to compare those kind of prices. I think you can rent a nice house in Angeles even for $550 to $650. You can't buy in any of the major subdivisions here. Well, that's not true. But buying for $140,000 is kind of difficult to buy a house for here. Let's see here. Timothy says, I'll have to rent, not buy, as I have an American wife. So Timothy, does that mean she's not coming and you're just going to be visiting? BT says it's awesome. He's going to watch it. Well, Mike from Mike's Philippine Journey. There you go. Great to have you, Mike. Nice of you to join us. We're just talking about my most recent budget expenses. And we were talking about, let's see here, the price of ownerships and trash collection and pollution. We've kind of skirted all over the subject this morning. Mike says Naga City is in Bicol. Okay. JR says, any international trips this year, Mike? I think we'll probably, we're looking at Singapore and Bali. But we're not exactly sure how we're going to work those. One of Arlyn's best friends lives in Bali and just had a baby. Actually, she had the baby in the UK and they'll be moving back to Bali. So I wouldn't mind doing that. I'm not a big fan of Singapore. It's nice, but not a big fan. My house rent, 3 bedrooms, $160 a month. There you go. And I'm sure if you go to BT's channel, you'll find out what his house looks like. I bet he's got videos on there about it. The ROI on something over $100K US dollars as a rental condo doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Dari, it doesn't unless it has a specific niche that it caters to that you believe has legs and it'll continue to run, and it makes then sense. It kind of depends. I mean, when you look at rental property, one of the things you need to look at is where's my money going to make the most amount? If it's going to be sitting in a bank account in the U.S. or in CDs making 2 and 3%, or my rental property is making 7 to 10 to 12%, that's where you have to look at it. I have friends, though, in the U.S. with rental properties in the U.S. that are making 10, 12, and 15%, but they bought a good while back. BT says, well, 8,000, the old canoe. The old canoe, Robert says, the problem here is Naga's retirement community with returning OFWs and forwards. So, Robert, does that mean that the vast majority, or that there's a large community of higher net worth individuals than what you would normally see? And does that drive then the cost of housing, rental, and everything else up? Timothy says, visiting in September and she'll come next time. Hope to see you and Arlyn. Absolutely. Tim, don't hesitate just because she's not with you to drop me a line and we'll meet up and get done. JR says, Bali looks awesome on my list. Singapore, good for a few days. Hotels, very expensive. Food's cheap and great. Yeah. I'm really interested in Bali. I think it's worth going there. And I think Arlyn might enjoy that more because this is like her best friend. It was her old college roommate. In fact, if you see the video on us swimming with the whale sharks, the woman that was in charge, a part of the barangay, and her husband, who's actually in charge of the whale shark tours, their daughter was my wife's roommate in Manila, and they've always maintained a close relationship. Bookham Downo says, you really have to weigh the pros and cons of renting. Yeah, you do. You know what? We don't rent because when I die, I want something that Arlyn can rent to somebody else, and she'll have passive income. Dari, well, yes, of course, if the property is in a niche area, and yes, you can look at the monthly gain versus the total value depending on the market conditions. And yeah, Dari, and I say all of that But in reality, those things can change like that. All right. What gives be a great place today can turn into a shithole tomorrow. Or where everybody wants to go today can be where nobody wants to go tomorrow. So real estate can be a problem. All right. The time value still has its drawbacks, but if you play the long game, I can see your point. Yeah, I mean, it is a long game, and it's not without risk. That's for sure. Trust me, I've lost money in real estate. Okay? When they say you can't lose money in real estate, they obviously have never met me. I've lost money in real estate. Mike, this is the highest net worth in Bicol. Yes, it does drive up the prices. So there you go. So Robert, the old Cano, tells you that Naga City has, if you wanted to define a high net worth individual, it'd be easier to define that probably in the Naga City area. And it's funny because people just really blow me away. Talk about how poor the Philippines is. Well, shit, there's a shitload of money. And I got a photo. I may even put it into a short. We were waiting for our driver. We actually cleared luggage and everything faster than the driver got to the pickup point at the airport when we were coming back from Bohol. And circling in the traffic pattern, passed by twice, was a Rolls Royce Shadow. That's a $450,000 vehicle. There's plenty of money. Let me rephrase that. There's a lot of money in the Philippines. BT says the free bedroom house out here would cost about $20,000, and AC more than likely rents cheaper out here, but AC is only 45 minutes away. Yeah, we run into BT once in a while when he comes in just for breakfast. He gets bored. It's not that far away. The place came with a Carabao. It might. You never know. My daughter was so amused when we were in Bohol and we were on these ATV ride around Chocolate Hills. They had some Carabao in the area that we were riding, and we were posed for pictures somewhere else. And I asked the guide, hey, you know what? Can my daughter touch the Carabao? And he said, sure. And he took her over there to these 3 Carabao. And she was amazed at how freaky touching they were. Because my daughter's actually in school to become a vet. And so she deals with sheep and cows and horses. And she was amazed at how smooth the skin. She assumed it was going to have a short hair on it, but how smooth the skin on a Carabao was. Let me see. Dari says you should see the growing number of expensive vehicles in Duma. Not over the top Rolls, but very nice trucks, SUVs. Yeah, Dari, I don't get it. I mean, we have a nice SUV. Okay, we bought it brand new. We've kept it in covered parking almost all its life, except for when we're out and about. It's super low mileage, 2020 Toyota Fortuner. But that's a pretty standard vehicle here in the Philippines. We see people driving around in incredibly expensive vehicles. I mean, I actually saw a Ford F-250 Raptor all tricked out the other day. I mean, seeing the F-150 Raptors is no big deal. And seeing a 250 Raptor, it's not that uncommon. But seeing an F-250 Raptor all tricked out, lifted, automatic side steps, the whole 9 yards. These are, you're talking 80 to $90,000 US, and those things are expensive. Fords are more expensive here than they are in the US. So Duma is on our list. We're going to get down to Dumageddon one of these days. Michael says, I have a friend who has a Filipino guy working for him in the U.S., and his family would send him money to the U.S. Yeah. Wow. I have a friend who has a Filipino guy working for him in the U.S., and his family would send him money to the U.S. Yeah, there's money here. There is money. JR says Dumageddon's getting oversaturated. I'll stick to AC for now. I think Duma is going to be facing the same problems that AC faces with respect to traffic and with respect to many other things. It's a growing expat situation, and I think that's going to drive prices up pretty heavy. Darcy says the RAV4s and Raptors are everywhere. Yeah, they are. And it's unbelievable. Although I have to say, the guy that actually started Candy Resorts, he's got a Lambo in his garage. He's got a Ford Mustang GT that's literally a track vehicle. He races that on the semi-professional circuit all up and down. And then he's got another very, very nice. At one time, he had a Lambo and another, I think it was a Ferrari. But I think he got rid of one of them. But he still has the others. Mike says this guy should buy new clothes when he first got here. He does not know how to do laundry. He had maids growing up. His dad was very high-ranking government officials. Yeah, well, and some guys, some families are like that. Some families are very well off, and sometimes they don't teach their children the basics. I just bought a 2020 Toyota 4Runner. I'm assuming it's not cost effective to ship it to the Philippines. No, Timothy, I don't think so. The shipping container itself is going to, I think, run you somewhere. Robert, the old Cano, just went through something the other day. I think it was him. And he was pricing shipping containers to fill one container about $1,300 or $1,400, something like that. But you might want to go to his channel and check out one of his last 2 or 3 videos. And that's just the container. And that's assuming you put it in a container to ship it. I don't even know how you ship it, to be honest with you. Here, you can get a couple of different, there's vehicles here that can be reasonably purchased. I'll be honest, and none of them are cheap anymore. They're all expensive. Tim, most likely not. The import fees factor. Yes, Dari's correct. There would be a massive import fee even on something used. Timothy, not worth shipping. I did all the research and math before coming over. We had a nice 4-door Wrangler we were going to bring, but wasn't worth it. There you go. JR's been here a while and lived here before that even. And he's got a lot of experience with it. We were going to ship my Harley here, but no way, too much. I thought about, when I decided, I've had a lot of bikes, and in the end, I had a Road King and I had an Ultra Classic, and I loved that Road King. I had a Screaming Eagle Ultra Classic, Stage 3 kit, the whole 9 yards. And I still loved my Road King better. And I thought about bringing it here, but then I thought about getting around on such a big bike. And I got to be honest with you, I am glad I did not. There are a lot of guys with big bikes here, but I don't know that I would want to deal with that. I really and truly don't. Michael says he told me the first time he visited the Philippines, the guy had his dad send someone to meet him at the airport. Yeah, that's not uncommon. We see that all the time. People meeting people at the airport and they're drivers. And you wonder, are they picking up somebody that booked them, or did their parents send them, or whatever? I have no idea. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Dari says, I get my laundry done twice a month, 180 pesos, washed, folded, and neatly wrapped. So easy, they do a fantastic job. Yeah, laundry services here are dirt cheap. They really and truly are. Now, we have a washer dryer. We do our own laundry, except our comforters. We take our comforters to the laundromat and have them do it. And I don't know, Arlyn just likes doing her own laundry. Robert says, Mike, you're right about higher prices. However, I talked to my banker here last week, and the amount of high dollar vehicles, but over time, my guy at BDO told me they have a repossession rate of 42%. And Robert, that actually brings up an interesting point. Depending on how long you've been in the Philippines, whether you've seen the explosion over the past 10 years in vehicles, what prompted that explosion was financing. The banks and the car dealerships have learned how to make money on financing that fails. So, and I'm not saying they wanted to fail, but what I'm saying is they know how they can be profitable making money that even when the deal failed. I mean, I'm not going to say who. Oh, yeah, I am. Arlyn's sister, who literally, by any standard, should not be able to finance a scooter. Easily got financing to buy a scooter. Now, I know there's a big difference between that and a car, but it's the same principle. I am convinced that the banks and the dealers have found a way to stay profitable. BT says he loves a Road King. I got to tell you, I love my old Road King. I hated selling it. JR says, for less money, I bought a brand new Ford Ranger 4x4 in 2021. There you go. And that's a nice vehicle. Dari says the big bikes are more of an ego thing, not practical at all. They're not practical here for sure. For sure. In the States, they're very practical. I mean, it was not uncommon for me to get a phone call Thursday afternoon, and 5 guys, we'd hop on our bikes first thing Friday morning and take a 5-hour road trip, because we'd be stopping at the Hoover Dam and this and that, from Phoenix to Vegas for the weekend. And then when you're all beat up after a weekend in Vegas, you still got that 3-hour drive back to Phoenix, and you want a comfortable bike. That's when it makes a difference. And then secondarily, those are mountainous areas. Certain parts of that is a mountainous drive, and you want the power to get past those little old ladies doing 60. So those are the times that come in. But here in the Philippines, I can't see the advantage to them. BT says, I like a Ford Ranger too, but I have a Honda CRV. Real dependable, though. Thinking Ranger next. I don't know, BT, why bother? Why bother getting anything else? If your CRV works and it's dependable, why spend the money? Cars are diminishing, assets. I love them, and I've had a lot of them, and I've had expensive cars and cheap cars. None of them, I never made money on a car. That's for sure. I miss my fat boy. I bet you do, James. I love fat boys too. I really and truly do. I used to ride. We used to ride a lot. And Arizona is one of those perfect places to ride, especially Phoenix. I mean, we can leave out of Phoenix. It's 90 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're in 70-degree weather at 7 o'clock in the morning, and even cooler. And it stays cool all the way to pretty much the Hoover Dam. And then at that point, the temperature Kingman, Hoover Dam, that area, once you flatten into the desert, and then it gets hot again into Vegas. Michael says, I'm scared to buy a used car in the Philippines. I've seen it so many times. They will lose 100 pesos to make 5 pesos. They don't do preventative maintenance in the cars. And Michael, that's absolutely correct. And that's why we bought a new vehicle. I looked at, quite frankly, I looked at every taxi that we'd been in for years and said, nobody maintains jack shit. I am not going to buy a used vehicle. Now, we'd been in some Grab cars that were pretty decent, but they were relatively new. You don't see many Grab cars that are old. But I don't think anybody takes good care of, preventative maintenance. That's just not what the Philippines is really about. They're a fix it when it breaks. I'll worry about it when it doesn't work. Take care, Mike, and all have a good rest of the weekend. You too, JR. And with that being said, it is about time for us to head out of here. Look, guys, I really appreciate everybody dropping by. We hope you have a great day. Please do comment. Let us know anything that we can to try and help you. Have a great day.